What's up, everybody? Good morning and happy Monday, the final Monday of this month of July. Hopefully, all had a fantastic weekend, and big thanks for making us part of your start on this brand new work week here. DK Show up on the air on your radio dials 105.1 FM, 790 AM, also available online, sportstalk1051.com. You can stream it up over there. You got your got the app, download it, take it on the go. Google and Alexa devices. Video streams are also up and rolling on Facebook, YouTube, and Instagram this morning. We got lots to catch up on. So what's on the game plan for us this morning? Jordan Love got PAID paid. Paid. Kind of a Friday news dump there, Friday night news dump there. But Jordan Love and the Packers agreeing to a 4-year, $220 million extension, highest paid quarterback right now in this league, although it might, who knows how long it'll last. The deal also includes a record $75 million signing bonus and $155 million in new guarantees, which makes him the highest paid NFL quarterback. It puts him in line with that Trevor Lawrence and Joe Burrow deals, who are making on average $55 million per year. Comes in above Tua's contract that got, was was agreed to shortly before Love's was reported out there. But also above Jared Goff's, Justin Herbert's, and Lamar Jackson's contract. So Jordan Love practicing for the first time on Saturday. Happened to be the first day of pads for the pack too. So Love practicing the last couple of days out there back at practice. The hold in is over with. So now we can focus straight up on football. Talking about football, not talking about contracts or anything like that. But now we can talk about the team and the expectations and the actual game itself. So I know probably a lot of you have thoughts on this deal, whether you think, is it got paid too much, whatever, this, that, the other thing, but it's the name of the business right now. It's the NFL world. What else do you expect at this point in time? So uh, just glad that it's over with. Glad that we don't have to talk about it anymore, and we can move on and talk about football. Talk about football. So Packers do actually, and Goody talked about this on Saturday. They got a little flexibility in the first couple of years of this contract in terms if they wanted to get any more deals done or add anybody or something like that. Later on in the contracts, they'll be maybe a little handcuffed as he alluded to as well, and said they'll have to continue to draft well. They'll have to continue to make smart moves and that sort of stuff. But a lot of things can happen in the next couple of years. Other salaries will come off the books and such. So, that's a couple of years from now. We're focusing on the now, right now. So, I want to talk a little Jordan Love with this contract and the expectations, because you got a lot of people questioning how can you live up to it? Can it look like a bargain? Maybe in a couple of years and such. So we'll hit that up and talk a little green and gold coming up here in just a few minutes on the leadoff. So football talk coming at you. We've got Brewers and baseball talk. The MLB trade deadline is tomorrow. The Brewers did make a deal a couple days ago, acquiring relief pitcher Nick Mears from the Colorado Rockies to help bolster that bullpen. The Brewers also just got a big boost in their bullpen with Devin Williams now back on the team. He was activated yesterday, got some work in the ninth inning, and a 6-2 victory for the Brewers yesterday, a team that avoided being swept by one of the worst teams in all of Major League Baseball. But how many times has that happened? It feels like it's been a lot. You got a team that, they traded Jazz Chisholm after the first game, and got a team that's selling, and got, maybe a team that's like, all right, we got nothing to play for, a little bit more relaxed. They go out there and they play a little loose, and they come away with W's like the Marlins did in the first two games. They were aggressive at the plate. Kind of have to tip your cap to them. They were very aggressive at the plate. Anybody watching or listening to the game yesterday when they led off with a home run right away from Edwards, who ended up getting a cycle for the Marlins, you're like, oh boy, here we go. But thanks to Bowers with that homer, 2-run shot in the bottom of the first, Brewers never looked back after that. But good to see Devin Williams out there on the mound, getting in some work. Not a high pressure situation by any means. I mean, it still wasn't, like a 10-run lead or anything like that. It was still a 4-run lead. And the Brewers, gave up a lead on Saturday's game when they allowed 5 runs in an inning. But Devin Williams going an inning, giving up a hit, striking out 1, giving up a walk there, but got some nice work in. So bullpen bolstered up. Will the Brewers make any more moves before tomorrow's deadline? Will they add another starter? Will they add another bat? Where are some of the potential moves they can make? We'll go over some of the latest rumors and rumblings surrounding the Brewers and Major League Baseball in general, coming up here a little bit later on as the trade deadline coming at you tomorrow. So even the Cubs kind of making some moves, not necessarily being sellers at this point, but again, kind of getting players who are controllable for the next couple of years and such. So, but we'll go over the latest rumors and rumblings surrounding Major League Baseball's trade deadline coming at you in a little bit here. So we got that. We've got, speaking of baseball, shout out to the Eau Claire Express. They're hot right now. I mean, they're playing some really good baseball. Probably don't want them to have an off day today to keep that momentum going here, but they're going to be going up against the lacrosse loggers here for the next few games. But the Express, 4 wins in a row, and kind of like the Brewers, they like to hit grand slams this year. But the Express, 4 wins in a row. They're 7-3 in their last 10, and the Express have now moved up to second place in their division, just 1.5 games back from first place, and 1.5 games back from winning that winning the second half division championship and clinching a postseason spot. Don't have a lot of games left in the regular season here. As we mentioned, off day today. They've got lacrosse for a couple games here. Those are going to be coming at you. And then we got Duluth, which is a big one over there. That's going to be at home coming up at the back end of this week, Thunder Bay. And then they got to go on the road against Thunder Bay next week. And then they finish up with Madison. So got some big games coming at you for the for the Eau Claire Express, but they're playing some really, really good baseball right now. So if you got a chance to go out there and support them and get to Carson Park and make it a home field advantage, go out and do so. Go out and do so. All right. So especially got tomorrow's kind of the home and away. I got a doubleheader coming up there. So, but we'll talk definitely some more Express coming up a little bit later on with our local sports roundup. Also, shout out to the Eau Claire Babe Ruth 15U punching their tickets back to going to the World Series. So shout out to those kids, to the youngsters, I should say, going to the World Series over there. All that was pretty darn cool to kind of follow along over the weekend too. So shout out to those youngsters. Eau Claire, Ohio Valley Regional Tournament was going underway this past weekend out at Mount Simon. So the 15U punching their ticket to the 13 to 16U World Series. So we'll get to that and some more local sports roundup coming up a little bit later on. It is the weekend hangover. So what are your highs? What are your lows? What is the best? What is the worst from the from the weekend? All right. Let us know. All right. Make your picks. Hit us up with a quick text on that Shoot Actors bullpen line, 715-830-1912. 715-830-1912. So we'll get to that. We've got yeah, I think that kind of covered. Oh, the Olympics medal count. The Olympics fully underway right now. Maybe you spent some of the weekend trying to beat the heat and staying indoors and watching a little bit of the Olympics. As of right now, you got the U.S. In the lead for the total medal count. They're at 12, 12 overall. But a long ways to go, as we know, with this thing. But right now, with it fully underway, it's the United States with 12. China coming in with 9, but China's got the most golds as of right now. So, all right, let's get things going here. All right, and plus, I mentioned we already put it up on Facebook and Twitter. I'm ahead of the game here this morning, peeps. But our bracket challenges, we're starting to wrap this thing up. Okay, so Scott Tolzien defeated Joe Pavelski. He has moved on to Elite Eight. We had also Giovanni Gallardo defeated Corey Hart, so he has moved on to the Elite Eight. We are wrapping up our Elite Eight matchups here. We've already got the first one up on our Facebook group page and Twitter. Tremont Williams versus Lynn Dickey. The final Elite Eight spot up for grabs for our Packers region. The winner of this one will take on Amon Green to win the Packers region and get to the Final Four. So you can go vote right now on Facebook and Twitter. And then we're going to do another one a little bit later on. We're going to do from the Bucks/Open region. Couple of hoops players over there. So see how that one goes out. That winner will take on Steve Stricker. So, but we'll get to that one a little bit later on. But you can go vote right now. Keep you posted on that Gallardo and Hart one was close. Facebook, and it ended up being 50-50, but Twitter votes, it went to Gallardo. So, all right, let's get it going here this morning. Let's talk some Packers football to open up things. I know it's been a couple days here, but in a late Friday news dump, the news that the Packers and Jordan Love finally agreeing to a new deal, making him the highest paid quarterback in the league. I know everybody's got thoughts on it, whether it's you think it's too much or it's just about time and now we can focus on football. Let me kind of throw out a two-part question, one to all of you out there. If you are on the side of you think it's too much, make your case. What would you tell other fans who are excited or agree with it or whatever the case? If you just think it's no, wouldn't have done it, what would you have done in this situation? And to the other fans, what would you say to those fans who are maybe not happy with the contract, don't agree with giving them that contract? What would you say to those fans out there? All right. So hit me up with a text, 715-830-1912 on that Shoe Doctors bullpen line. Let's get things going here this morning. We'll take our first break and then the lead off. Talking a little green and gold. Stick around. We'll be back in just a few minutes. This Friday, finally here. Happy tournament week, everybody. But this Friday from Princeton Valley Golf Course, the fourth annual Casper Classic to benefit Backyard Dreams is coming at you. And I've got a feeling, I'm sure everybody says this for every year for an event, but I got a feeling this might be the best one yet. Because man, first of all, big time shout out to all of our sponsors this year because I mean, what a group of partners we have. First off, Princeton Valley Golf Course for hosting us again this year. Our Champions Meal sponsors, Hy-Vee, who's going to be providing the dinner for us, the lunch for us out there. Speaking of Hy-Vee, by the way, if you haven't taken advantage of their 5 for 25, I mean that's a meal in a week. We were there Friday. I'm like, let's go check out what they got. They had the Dan Good burgers over there as part of their 5 for 25. I mean, for crying out loud, 5 for 25. You got for you and your wife or your husband or whatever. It's a meal right there. Your main course for the rest of the week is all planned out there. So, big thanks to Hy-Vee, our putting green sponsors, Gemco Surfaces, beverage sponsors, Park Ridge Distributing, Title Belt sponsors, Resonance Branding Company, Green Jacket sponsors, Muldoon's Menswear, our other partners, Carpet City Flooring Center, AJM Automotive Service, VFW Post 305, The Elbow Room, Doodah Gin, Edward Jones, Financial Advisor, Kelsey Nikolai, Hannah Sellner, Agency, American Family Insurance, Shepke Chiropractic, Shoe Doctor, Service Master, Chippewa Valley, Myron Construction, and this might be I was a little concerned. I'll admit I was a little bit worried that we weren't going to have a ton of raffle prizes. That's where the funds for Backyard Dreams come from, is from the raffle prizes. And boy, oh boy, did a lot of our partners and others help step up to the plate. Shout out to the Packers for a donation. The Brewers yesterday, or excuse me, on Friday, sent over a prize too. We've got Brewers tickets for the game on August 18th going up against the Cleveland Guardians. That's going to be a heck of a game between two division leaders over there. So 4 tickets on the first base line. Got that up. Myron Construction with the cooler full of Bloody Mary supplies and beef sticks and beef jerky. VFW Post 305 also has a donation or a raffle prize over there too. Luminary Wellness Center's got a couple of gift certificates. Gemco Surfaces with the prize donation too. We got bottle of scotch over there. Shout out to Hy-Vee for some prize donations. Service Master Clay from Service Master always comes through every year. We've got a nice sports package for that. Friday, picked it up, a $500 Tilden Gun gift card. Only 52 of those tickets are going to be sold, so your chances are pretty darn good for that. Spectrum Industries with the gaming chair. Parkridge Distribution's got a golf bag. Chippewa River Industries is also going to be donating a basket. We've got AJM Automotive Service going to be putting together some stuff for some oil changes. Brandon's mom and Rocky also donating a prize package over there too. So, man, I am looking forward to Friday. It's going to be it's going to be a lot of work, but it's going to be a lot of fun there too. And I hope everybody who's going to be out there on Friday enjoys themselves too. So, but got to the first group going out at 7:30 with Surveyor Sam and his group and such, Philly Fan Dave and that, and then 10 and 1:30 after that. So, oh, can't wait. You know what else I can't wait? I can't wait now we get to talk about some actual football. Let's get the lead off here this morning with the news from Friday, late Friday night, early Friday evening, Friday after, whatever we want to term it. It was a Friday news dump. But the Packers and Jordan Love finally agreeing to a contract extension, 4 years, $220 million. Got paid, P-A-I-D, paid out there. Making him highest paid quarterback. Again, it depends on which one you want to look at as the average per year, is it the guarantees and all that. But however you want to view it, definitely one of the highest paid players in history. And who knows how long that'll last with Dak Prescott's contract and we'll see what's Brock Purdy after this year when he becomes eligible and such. And uh, there, Jordan Love's contract, and at least in about a couple of years, will probably be like little. I don't know if it'd be middle of the pack, but a little bit lower down on the totem pole in terms of value and such. But finally got it done. He was at practice on Saturday, the first practice in pads, and now we could just focus on football, right? But there's no doubt about it. With this contract, I mean, one question that Jordan was getting asked, because it was really his first time in front of the media after the contract and that, and a question he kept getting asked is like, how do you make sure this doesn't change you? How do you there's pressure now involved in this, and there's a quote that he has said. He said it last year that I love this quote, and I think it's something that he's probably saying to himself right now. But pressure is a privilege. It's a different type of pressure. Last year, he had the pressure of proving that he could be a franchise quarterback, proving he can be the long-term starting quarterback for Green Bay. You got a new pressure this year and going forward to live up to that contract, to make Green Bay look smart, to make to prove it why you deserve that contract. And I know there's going to be a lot. I mean, it was all over social media and such, and even before it, there was people questioning it. We got to remember too, when it comes to player contracts, a lot of it's based off projection. It's like Andrew Brandt said, you give these players contracts based off what you think they're going to do. And I think obviously you got to factor in what they've done for you too. I mean, that does factor into this. But for the most part, a lot of this is factoring in on what you're projecting, what you are expecting, what you are hoping that they are going to do for you in the future. And I believe, now this is just my opinion, but I believe that Jordan Love is maybe under a little bit more pressure than what Aaron Rodgers was when Rodgers signed that 08 extension. If you remember back in 2008, he signed that extension on Halloween during his first season as a starter. So he signed an extension, a few games into his season? And it was decent money, but when you look at it right away, I mean, he got a pay raise there, but he didn't have the term of highest paid quarterback or anything like that. I mean, there's still some pressure that came with it, that 08, like, oh, wow, all right, few games in. Already giving him an extension, already going to be the guy. Whereas in this case, Jordan Love, we at least had a full season of seeing it. But having that term, that label, highest paid in history, highest paid quarterback, there's added extra pressure to that. And I think there's also the added extra pressure of you're coming off of leading your team to the postseason your first year. Oh, and winning a playoff game and nearly punching a ticket to the NFC Championship game. A little bit more of a successful in terms of, team overall than Rodgers' first year in 08. So you had that, and I'm not saying this as a negative by any means. I do think there's a little bit more pressure surrounding Jordan Love after this contract and heading into the season now. There's going to be that pressure, and it's mostly going to be from fans, I think, from the outside too. It's not, it's not going to be, and maybe I'm sure there's going to be a little bit of internal pressure and such, and maybe that's more so Jordan putting it on himself and such. But Jordan was under a microscope last year. He was under that microscope to see, okay, let's see if this is the guy. Let's see if this is the guy that is going to be our long-term starter. Did Green Bay hit the jackpot again and get a third straight quarterback that's going to be around for a while? I don't want to say Hall of Fame because that's we'll see. There's a lot of time to figure that one out. But, you had that pressure last year. Like, okay, you get a year. You get a year to prove yourself essentially as that dude, that long-term guy. If you don't, if he struggles and Green Bay's got a high pick, maybe Green Bay's kind of starting this thing all over with a new quarterback. But he played well down the stretch. He played well 8, 9, 10 games. Got his team to the postseason. Now he has that huge contract. It's a different type of pressure this year for Jordan Love. And he's going to be under the microscope from fans, from analysts, from pundits, from talking heads to see, okay, can you live up to that? Can you live up to the title of highest paid, maybe at one point one of the highest paid whenever somebody overtakes that spot? So it's a different type of pressure. It's a different type of responsibility. And that's where I'm excited too to see if he can do it. I mean, we're all hoping. We're all hoping that he can. Maybe a lot. I think a lot of us are expecting that he can, but we won't know until we actually get to the games, get on the field, and we see it in action, really. So, Surveyor Sam with a quick text: as a person who is happy about the deal, I would say to those that don't like it to look at the salary cap in whole and what it will do in the next few years. The last year, the cap went up $30 million. Yes, he's averaging 55 a year, and that is right around 20% of the cap, but that's not all guaranteed. Also look at it as an investment into the future with the hope of high returns at a bargain in 2 years. Dak is going to command at $60 million a year, and the next quarterback will want more. Yeah. There's that absolute chance that this thing can look like a bargain in the next couple of years. That was, I mean, you look at this isn't the real world in terms of like, well, if he would have had, if him holding out, that wouldn't fly, and in the real world, and that sort. This is the NFL, and also too, and I would counter that too. In the real world, would you, on your own job, take less to quote help your business or help your boss or anything like that? A lot of you probably wouldn't. So I mean, this is different. This is the way it works in the NFL. This is the way it works in the sports world. I think we should have all expected, when we saw those Trevor Lawrence deals and we saw the Jared Goff deals and the Joe Burrows and all that, it was going to be around that. And Brian Gutekunst said that too on Saturday. He's like, the contract kind of fell where I thought it was going to fall in terms of dollars. And I think what's a big win for Jordan Love here with this contract is he got it for 4 years. He gets to re-dip essentially at the age of 30. He gets to re-dip. That's not a bad situation for Jordan Love. Not at all. Andrew Brand, again, we like to look at him and get his thoughts on this because, I mean, first of all, he used to be an agent. Then he worked for Green Bay being a salary cap guy. I'd like to see his thoughts on deals like this and Jordan Love and all that. But he said the deal looks like it's 3 years, $155 million, and then, quote, we'll see. He said that seeing when the reports first came out, sensed the sticking point was the Packers wanting a longer extension, 5 or 6 years. Love able to get a 4-year extension after his agents did the same for Tua. Remember, Jordan Love's agency is the same as Tua's agency. Love will be negotiating again when the market is over $60 million per year before the age of 30. That's a win for Jordan Love. No question about it. That is a big win for Jordan Love. And as he said, yes, Love doesn't have a long history of playing well, But contracts are not about the past, they're about the future. And just as we knew when Aaron waited for 3 years, the Packers knew what they had and what they now have. He's their guy for at least 3 years and $155 million. And that was something, we talked about last week too, and even Andrew talked about it too. Green Bay with their contracts, they want to look for those ways to quote unquote get out if they have to. They want to add that little protection for themselves. What's a protection that the team has when it comes to big time deals like this? Those outs, those quote unquote outs, ways to get out of a contract without maybe having a huge dead cap hit over there. So I get it. I'm okay with this. I'm just glad now we can move on and talk about football. But I guarantee you, throughout this season, it will be talked about. It will be scrutinized. Jordan Love will be under the microscope for a lot of people to see if he lives up to that contract. It's just going to happen. And I get it, and I understand it. I mean, if he goes out there and say the first couple months doesn't look great, it's going to be questioned. It's going to be talked about. It's going to be scrutinized. It's going to be analyzed, all that stuff. But I'm excited to see how he handles that pressure. Pressure is a privilege. Now I'm just happy we get to talk about football and looking ahead to games and such. We got family night coming up this week, first preseason game and that. But if you're not familiar with how training camp practices go when it comes to Green Bay and that, last couple of years, last few years, they've done it where whatever side of the ball loses, whether it's offense or defense, they got to do push-ups and such. Probably no coincidence. The first practice that Jordan Love participated in, the offense won their first practice. Most part, defense has been balling out, and the defense, I mean, for a lot of teams when training camp first opens, seems to always come out with a leg up. They usually tend to perform a little bit better right out of the gate there. But I don't know if there's too much of a coincidence that the first one that Jordan Love comes back for, that he participates in, and offense wins it. So I want to talk a little bit about the offensive line and how that's kind of shaping up so far in the first week. Now that we are a week into Packers training camp, I think there's a couple of interesting notes with this thing, especially when it comes to first-round pick Jordan Morgan. That's kind of, I know we're only a week in, and I don't want to necessarily, dive into a lot of, guys in shorts and, just practicing that way. But given some of the injuries and some of the days off that some of these offensive linemen have had, we've gotten to see kind of a rotation in place here. And I think there's a couple of interesting things that I want to hit up on when it comes to the offensive line. The group that I think is the most interesting position battle to watch in this training camp, because there's a few jobs up for grabs on this thing. So first off, we'll take a quick break, and then we'll be back in just a few minutes to finish up this first hour. If you got any last minute plans, summer vacations, summer road trips, hate to say that, but once we get to August, I mean, what, we got a month left until the kiddos are back at school and such. So if you got any last minute vacations or those road trips planned, you want to make sure your vehicle is up to date with its oil change. And well, you should head on over to ASAP Used Auto Parts in Eau Claire to get those oil changes. Or maybe you need some new tires before you make that long road trip over there. Hey, they can hook you up too with the best deals in the Chippewa Valley. All right. I just had my oil change over there not too long ago. And in and out, it's fantastic. Great customer service. Make your appointment today. All right, ASAP Used Auto Parts, located right across the street from the Do Dodge over there at 1330 Menominee Street in Eau Claire. Or maybe you're looking to save some money on some high quality used auto parts. They can help you out as well. ASAP Used Auto Parts in Eau Claire. We got about 10 minutes to the top of the hour here. So obviously the big news, the big story surrounding the Pack has been Jordan Love and his contracts and such. But when we look at the first week of training camp practices now officially in the book, I think one of the things that stands out to me has been the offensive line battle. Now, it's been interesting because Packers have been able to throw in different combinations, throw in different, different guys working with the ones, different positions and such. And that's been, Zach Tom kind of easing his way back on in after having a pec injury. Josh Myers missed some time for some personal reasons. So the Packers have been able to mix and match sort of thing here. But the thing that kind of is maybe a little bit maybe surprising is a little bit of a dramatic word, but maybe interesting is we haven't really seen Jordan Morgan work a ton at left tackle. And when we go back to when he was drafted, Matt LaFleur and the Packers, kind of said that, he's going to get his first crack over at left tackle. And we've been seeing him get some more play at guard. And Matt LaFleur talked a little bit about the offensive line over the weekend. Said at some point you'd like to get some continuity among the starting five. I don't want to read into it. We've had one padded practice. I think it'll sort itself out the longer we get into this thing. And about Jordan Morgan, he said, I think he's starting to feel more and more comfortable inside, but I think he's talented enough, if need be, that if we have to kick him outside, we can do that. So it just seems like right now, Jordan Moore, and that was going back to the draft process. There was a lot of NFL people, scouts, analysts thought he would transition better, even though he was a left tackle in college. There was that thought that his best position in the NFL would be guard. And OTAs and offseason stuff, Jordan Morgan, he repped that tackle, but he has been almost exclusively in guard so far in training camp. Now, it's one weekend. I don't want to read a ton into that, but I think it's also of note to kind of see where that has been going right now, because to me, the offensive line is the position group to watch in this training camp, the main position group to watch. We know Elton Jenkins is a starter. We know Zach Tom is a starter. Josh Myers probably going to be the starter at center. And now it looks like maybe Walker's going to be your left tackle. So, I mean, is the main battle between Sean Ryan and Jordan Morgan for the starting right guard spot. And we're seeing a lot of mixing and matching. I mean, Elton Jenkins maybe is the backup center, or, he's been getting a lot of center reps with Zach Tom kind of easing back on in. I mean, we saw Sean Ryan the other day taking some snaps at the center. So to me, it's going to be really interesting to see how this whole position group kind of plays out. Because when you look at the depth, and we know in this past draft, Green Bay really, they drafted a few offensive linemen. You have Monk on there, who I think could potentially be the starting center maybe in the next couple years. You got Andre Dillard, the veteran. They're really high on Luke Tenuta last year, but he got hurt. You haven't really heard a whole lot about Royce Newman so far this year. So and then you got Telfort, who's getting some looks early on in the first week. So yeah, I think I think we're gonna. I know Matt LaFleur wants to see this group kind of, the top five. I didn't even mention the massive Caleb Jones in this thing too, and I know he's been dinged up a little bit, but Matt LaFleur wants that starting five to kind of work its way and kind of rise to the top, right? The cream rises to the top. And maybe after a couple weeks, especially when we get to preseason games, that'll start to play out. But I don't have after one weekend, I don't know if I've got a better sense of how this offensive line is going to look, other than the fact that it sure seems like Jordan Morgan, if he's going to get on the field as a starter, he might have to beat out Sean Ryan for that job, because it sure seems like it's going to be Walker at left tackle, Elton Jenkins at his left guard spot, Josh Myers at center, Zach Tom at right tackle. But don't be surprised if Jordan Morgan isn't a starter in year one. And I know that's going to upset some fans too, because he's a first-round pick. But Green Bay's done it before, and it worked out with Brian Bulaga. Bulaga wasn't a starter right away. He wasn't a starter right away, but Mark Tauscher got hurt. In steps Brian Bulaga, Super Bowl. So, yeah. That to me has been the most interesting thing to follow along in training camp so far. And I know the other one is the kicking. I know some of you have kind of reached out and said, the kicking battle and such. And it seems like Anders and Anders Carlson and is doing fairly well right now. He's doing fairly well, but it seems like he's in a battle with Greg Joseph right now. Packers giving them plenty of chances to go back and forth. Seems like, though, the dude, every practice, it seems like there's a guy that kind of stands out or has himself to practice, right? I mean, last week we were talking about Rashawn Gary. Then it was Eric Stokes. But the man of the hour yesterday might have been Kalen King, the 7th-round rookie pick, who had a quote-unquote pick six, or would have been a pick six or close to a pick six. Jordan Love was able to kind of like redirect him out of bounds and such. But Kalen King intercepting the new highest paid quarterback, and it seems like he has been showing some flashes in training camp. But I think that was a popular pick. I mean, he's my pick for the guy to watch, our Lindsey Pipkins watch list. Every year I pick a training camp preseason player that may surprise people. But I think when he was first drafted, 7th round pick and 255 overall, and you started to hear, well, he could have potentially been a first round pick the year prior, and you hear this positive stuff, from Bill Belichick and Jayden Reed tweeting about him and such. It's not a surprise that a lot of people kind of had like, oh, okay, maybe that's a steal of the pick. And so, I mean, that's probably not the biggest, bold prediction out there. But I mean, if Green Bay again hits on another 7th round corner, and it's way, way, way too early to be saying they hit on him. But I mean, last year, Carrington Valentine was that guy. 7th rounder, got thrown into the mix right away because of injuries and such, and he performed well. Kalen King, I think, is that guy that and remember too, Green Bay doesn't have a ton of undrafted free agents this year. I mean, their roster is loaded with a lot of young talent, but they didn't have a lot of roster spots opened up for undrafted free agents this year. So when you look at it, Kalen King's probably that late pick, or that guy that, maybe is a little bit on the bottom of the depth chart, but a lot of fans have kind of their eyes on him and kind of hoping that, hey, could we have maybe hit on another late pick there too? All right, I got about a minute left. Coming up next hour, we're going to talk some baseball. The MLB trade deadline is tomorrow. Brewers already making a move over the weekend, acquiring Nick Mears, the relief pitcher from the Colorado Rockies. They also got a big boost with Devin Williams now officially back with the team and pitching yesterday. But the Brewers dropping a series against the lowly Marlins. Now they've got the Atlanta Braves coming to town to finish off the month of July before the Brew Crew hit the road this weekend. But the Brewers, with that win yesterday, becoming the third National League team in Major League Baseball to hit the 60-win mark. And thank you to the likes of the Nationals too for taking it to the Cardinals this weekend here too. But with that 60-win mark, the Brewers joining the Phillies, who are currently at 65, and the Dodgers, who are at 63. When we add it all up, you just have three more teams in the American League too. You have Baltimore and the Yankees, both at 62 wins. Cleveland at 63. So let's talk some baseball. All right, we got a little local sports roundup coming at you this second hour as well. 1 and 2 more to go. Join the convo. Hit me up with some texts, all right? 715-830-1912. We got some news updates, and we'll be back in just a few minutes. Second hour kicking off on this Monday morning, July 29th. A big thanks for tuning in wherever, however you may be tuning in from on this tournament week. Kasper Classic coming at you this Friday from Princeton Valley Golf Course. The title belts will be up for grabs. Who will win them this year? We won't have a repeat champion this year. I just know that, but we'll see. We'll see what happens. So, reminder, we will be out at Princeton Valley to do the show next Friday. Even if you're not golfing, but you want to stop by and maybe grab one of their famous Bloody Marys. A portion of the proceeds is going to go help Backyard Dreams. So you can do that. All right, stop on by and such. Say hi, hang out for a little bit. So, coming up this hour, we're going to talk some Brewers. Brew Crew dropping the series against the lowly Marlins. They were able to pick up a win yesterday on Ryan, kind of like Ryan Braun Day, as the Brewers honored their former slugger, being inducted into the Walk of Fame for the Brewers. Also, Devin Williams back on the team. Got to see him for the first time in the game yesterday. Brewers, the third team in the National League to reach that 60-win mark. Only the Phillies and Dodgers above them did it first. Brewers now will take on the Atlanta Braves with a 3-game series to finish off the month of July, starting tonight. First pitch, 7:10. Colin Ray is going to be on the mound for the Crew, looking for his 10th win. So we'll talk some Brewers coming up here in just a second. I want to hear from you, Packers fans. Hit me up with a text this morning on that Shoe Doctors bullpen line, or comment on the video stream. Your thoughts on the massive extension that Jordan Love signed up with Green Bay, a 4-year, $220 million extension. Jordan Love tied with the team for the next 5 years, but can also be a kind of, Green Bay does this. They want to be, kind of have an out, if you will, without having a big dead cap hit on there. Seems to be maybe after 3 years, as Andrew Brandt likes to say, it's a 3-year deal worth $155 million, and then, quote, we'll see. So, we'll get back to that. We'll talk a little bit more about the Packers and such coming up here in a little while here. Let's do a quick local sports roundup this morning, because shout out to the Eau Claire Express. What a weekend. What the last 4 games they've been having. 4 wins in a row. They've been putting up some monster numbers. Another walk-off victory last night. This team is just, they were kind of like the Brewers a little bit ago when it was all about grand slams. And right now, this team, it's whenever its base is loaded for the Express, if I'm an opposing pitcher, I'm a little bit nervous because they like to hit some grand slams. But the Express 7-3 in their last 10 games. They have now put themselves in a position where they're in second place in the division, just 1.5 games back from first place. The Express making a late run here to try to win the second half division championship and get back to the postseason here. The Express are going to be taking on the Lacrosse Loggers for the next 3 games here. Going to be on the road, but then they will return home this weekend, starting this Thursday, with a big series going up against Duluth. Big series going up against the Duluth Huskies there. So then they also have Thunder Bay for a couple games against Thunder Bay at home here. The Express were a team too. When, just last week, Thunder Bay was at the top, and the Express took care of business against them, defeated Thunder Bay, knocked them down in the standings. So you got to imagine Thunder Bay is going to want a little revenge. So, but I got a feeling the Express and Dale Varsho and such, they're going to be ready for that. So, but when you look at where the standings are currently right now for this division, for the Eau Claire Express in the Great Plains East, Duluth is up 1.5 against the Express. You got Rochester, who's tied with them too, but the Express holding a slight win percentage advantage. Thunder Bay is now just 2 games back. They're in 4th. Waterloo, who the Express took care of business with this past weekend, just 3.5 back right now too. So But the Lacrosse Loggers, who won the first half championship, struggle a little bit here. They've only won 6 games in the second half. The Express, I got to imagine, will not overlook that, though, as they get set for these games against the Loggers coming up starting tomorrow. But take care of business there, and then get back home with those 2 big games. Put yourself in a position where potentially you could take over first place by the weekend and hold on to it. But we've got the last regular season game already coming up on August 10th. Is it August 10th? Yeah, August 10th against Madison. Man, it's going to be flying by here. So shout out to the Express. What a fantastic weekend for them. Wouldn't be a bad pick for a little weekend hangover, your highs and your lows, no doubt about it. So off day today for the Express as they get set for that series against the Lacrosse Loggers. Also, not a bad weekend too. Shout out, congrats to the Eau Claire A's 15U team. They punched their ticket to the 13 to 16U World Series. The A's took down the Sheridan Park Generals of Illinois in the championship game, winning 4-2. So the Eau Claire A's 15U team, Ohio Valley Regional Champion. So it's the tournament was out at Mount Simon this past weekend. But they're going to be going to the World Series held in Branson, Missouri, August 8th through the 18th. So congratulations to the Eau Claire A's 15U squad. That's awesome. That's awesome. They got quite the program over there. Last year, team made it over there too, but quite the program over there. So, what else do we got here? We've got I know we got CRBL, the regular season in the books there. Now we're getting ready for some postseason play here for the for some CRBL action, as Brandon Berg talked a little bit about this past Friday and such, but wrapped up some of the games this weekend for the regular season and such. So CRBL action, got some playoffs coming up here. Also this week too for Legion baseball. Best of luck to some of our local teams who are going to be in action for some Legion baseball here. I know the Pizza Huts, the Eau Claire Post, Legion baseball team. They're going to be in action a little bit later on this week. I know Chippewa Falls Legion baseball CF Post, Chippewa Falls Post 77 for the 17U team's going to be in action later on this week. So the schedule. Got the schedule here for the 96th annual Wisconsin American Legion Baseball Association Class AAA State Tournament. We've got that's going to be starting tomorrow. Eau Claire's going to be taking on Marshfield, it looks like. So best of luck to Eau Claire on that. They're going to be taking on Marshfield over in Wisconsin Rapids. So a lot of postseason playoff or a lot of postseason local baseball action in the works right now. Best of luck to all of our teams as we get a little bit closer to the prep season, especially with fall and football and all those teams getting set to kick things off here in a couple weeks too. So, all right, let's take a quick break here and then let's get to some Brewers baseball chat here. Brewers dropping the series against the Marlins. They did pick up the win yesterday to avoid being swept. Now you got the trade deadline coming up tomorrow. Trade deadline tomorrow. Will the Brewers make any more moves besides Nick Mears coming to the ball club? We'll go over some of the latest rumors and rumblings surrounding that ball club, surrounding the ball club and such. There's already been some moves all across Major League Baseball and such, but will the Brewers maybe acquire another starting pitcher? Will they acquire another bats? We'll also take a look at game one of this 3-game series against the Atlanta Braves starting tonight. So quick break, and then we'll get back to some more Brewers baseball chats coming up in just a few minutes. Brew Crew picking up the win yesterday to avoid being swept by the lowly Marlins. Although, got to give a shout out to Brandon Berg for kind of calling it on Friday. But nonetheless, Brewers avoid being swept yesterday, kind of on Ryan Braun Day. Ryan Braun entering the Walk of Fame for the Brewers. Highest honor short of a jersey retirement, which I don't know if anybody was watching or listening to, but there was a lot of people kind of thinking that might be the next thing to come for Ryan Braun is to put that number 8 up in the rafters for the Brewers and such. So, but nonetheless, Brewers picking up the win yesterday, 6-2. Got to give a credit to the Marlins. They came in with kind of that attitude of like, hey, we got nothing to lose here. And they were aggressive at the plate. They were aggressive again yesterday with the leadoff home run by the Marlins. Heck, we even had a cycle by excuse me, I'm choking up here a little bit. We even had a cycle yesterday by the Marlins for the game. So, but it was Edwards who hit that cycle for the Marlins, leadoff hitter over there. But we got to see Devin Williams in action. Got to be in the game in the ninth inning. Brewers holding to a four-run lead in the ninth, and he was able to get some work in, giving up a hit, also issuing a walk, but he did strike out one. So Tobias Myers went 4 innings, 3 hits, 5 Ks, giving up that home run in the first inning for a 1 earned run, but did not qualify for the win. Jacob Junis picking up his 4th win of the season, going 4-0 so far this season. Brewers already made a move to help bolster their bullpen, acquiring Nick Mears from the Colorado Rockies. Nick Mears, who has been pitching really well as of late here too. When you look at his numbers and such, you may be like, oh, okay, when you looked at his total numbers, they're not really like eye popping by any stretch, from the season overall. But as of late, he has been pitching really well. Overall this season, he's 1-4 with a 5.56 ERA. But again, when you look at what he's been doing in the month of July, he's, in his last few games here, he's actually not given up an earned run in his last 4 appearances. Just one run in his last 7 appearances. So pitching a lot better as of late than what he was earlier in the season. But a guy that they can control a little bit here, a youngster as well. So adding some more arms to this bullpen for the Brewers, which probably isn't a big surprise that the Brewers went out and acquired another bullpen arm to add there. Also kind of got another addition with the Devin Williams being back there. So maybe now we get to see kind of more of a stable bullpen. We know Pat Murphy, he's mentioned this before, but he would like to have that closer and then your typical setup guy, and then kind of have a 6th inning, 7th inning option, depending on a lefty option, a righty option, depending on what the lineup looks like and such. So now with Devin Williams back, and I know Hudson went on the injured list, but he doesn't seem like it's going to be a long-term thing. He has an oblique issue, but they said it was a grade 1 oblique issue, so it's going to be a short-term thing. But it seems like now maybe this bullpen for the Brewers, you're going to have a little bit of stability and maybe a little bit more of a typical kind of setup when it comes to the bullpen here. So now the main question is, when it comes to the Brewers, is will they make another move before tomorrow's deadline? Will they add another starting pitcher before tomorrow's deadline? We've already seen some moves being made all across Major League Baseball. You had Chisholm going to the Yankees and such, and other moves in that. But will there be other moves for the Crew? And I think a lot of us are hoping that the Brewers will maybe acquire another starting pitcher. It's like, all right, they got their bullpen arm. but will they go out there and get another starting pitcher for the back end? Freddie Peralta, Colin Ray, Tobias Myers, Aaron Savali, going to be your top four. But I think a lot of Brewers fans would like them to see, or would like to see the Brewers go out there and solidify that rotation with another starting pitcher. Now, I know teams have called in on Blake Snell. Blake Snell, that might be a little bit too much for the Brewers there. But again, who knows? You got Garrett Groshad who's out there. You've got Flaherty that's out there, and some other ones out there that could potentially be available for the Crew. But Tyler Anderson, maybe might it's a little bit more. I hope they acquire another starter. I'll just come out and say it. I hope the Brewers come out and acquire another pitcher. With the Christian Yelich injury, it's all hands on deck from an offensive standpoint. Who knows how long he's going to be out? They're hoping it won't be a long-term thing for Christian Yelich to be out. But it's all hands on deck, including the pitching staff there. And I would like to see maybe a little bit more experience with the starter coming in here. Yes, Freddie Peralta's been around for a while. He's got a little bit of playoff experience. Aaron Savali's there. Colin Ray's up there in age, but he doesn't have a playoff experience as such. Tobias Myers, a youngster. I wouldn't mind adding another veteran to that rotation. I feel like the bullpen is set. I feel like they've got options there, but I wouldn't mind another starter. If they don't go out and get another starter, you have to wonder if they're going to use that fifth rotation spot as maybe a bullpen. I mean, they've got guys in their bullpen that can give you multiple innings, and they've got guys coming back, whether it's like a DL Hall or a Joe Ross and such. So I get this sense that the Brewers aren't going to spend a whole lot to bring in another pitcher, because I feel like they're satisfied with their second option, which may be, hey, that fifth spot when it comes into the rotation, that turn in the rotation, it's going to be all kind of hands on deck. They got, guys that can eat up some innings and such. And, when you get to the postseason, you don't need 5 starters and such. That's just my guess, but I'd be lying if I said I didn't want another starting pitcher to add to this rotation. Okay. I want that. And I think a lot of Brewers fans would like to see that too. So now, would they go out and get another hitter? If they did, it's not going to be for a starter. I think if they go out and acquire another hitter, it's going to be for like a utility type of player. Mark Canha, maybe could the Brewers go and bring him back as another power option, a guy who can give you some reps over at face, third base, DH and such. I mean, the thing is that the difficult thing to project, or the difficult thing to predict here is the Yelich injury. Yes, they're going to try to rehab it, and they're going to try to, avoid surgery, and hopefully he can come back. But with this back issue, the thing is that you don't have a very solid timeline. You can't have a very solid game plan when it comes to coming back from a back injury like that. So you really can't count on it. I almost feel like you have to operate under the assumption that he's going to be out for a while, and maybe operate under the assumption he may miss the rest of this regular season. I hope that's not the case, and I know they're optimistic that he can come back. I don't have a good feeling about this right now. I feel like now, after this weekend, you're going to start to see maybe some more teams. I have to imagine these teams that are on that line about whether they were going to be buyers, whether they were going to be sellers. That's going to start to unravel here a little bit. You're going to have some of those teams who maybe aren't going to, they're going to toe that line, as we talked about last week, about being buyers and sellers. I think the Cubs are a team like that right now. They were making some moves over this weekend. They're kind of towing that line. They're not going to be complete sellers, not complete buyers and such. They're going to try to hover that line a little bit. But do teams like maybe the Reds, who are now 5 games out of a wild card spot, do they become a little bit more of a seller? We mentioned Blake Snell. Giants are only 3.5 back. But are they going to start to become sellers here a little bit? In the American League, Tigers are 5.5 back. Texas is now 6 back, 7.5 back for Toronto. Toronto, are they going to be like, even though they've won 3 in a row, they're still 7.5 back from a wild card spot? Could there be a little bit of a fire sale when it comes to the Blue Jays? So I don't really have a good gauge of how active this trade deadline is going to be. We've started to see more teams, this past weekend making those moves and such. And it'll be interesting to see, okay, once teams make moves, do those teams competing against those teams, so for the Yankees, right? They got Chisholm. Does Baltimore counter that with some other moves? Do the Red Sox counter that with some other moves? Red Sox right now 1 back from a wild card spot. How do these other teams counter some of those moves? Do they counter those moves? So I'm really curious to see what Matt Arnold and his staff and his front office have up their sleeves, if they have anything up their sleeves at this point. But trade deadline tomorrow, we'll find out if the Brewers make any big moves or not. Tonight's game against Atlanta, though, you got Colin Ray that's going to be on the mound for the Crew, looking for his 10th win of the season, looking to become the first pitcher for the Brewers this season to win double-digit games. And he's got, when you look at this preview, when you look at these lineups here, not a ton of experience with this Braves lineup going up against Colin Ray. Got about a game's worth of experience over there. But you got Grant Holmes that's going to be on the mound for Atlanta. He's kind of, your initial outgetter, your opener, whatever phrase you want to use. He's appeared in 10 games this year, but just pitching a little over 23 innings. He's got a 2.70 ERA so far this season. Brewers, these guys don't have a ton of experience going up against him and such. So, but really quick, a couple players I want to highlight before we have to take our break here. Shout out first to Bryce Terang. Tip of the cap to Bryce Terang. Offensively, he's going through a little bit of a slump. He did have a couple hits, RBI yesterday. But the dude, give the man his platinum glove, gold glove. I know, was it Devin that said he should get a platinum glove? Bryce Terang, better. Last year he should have and he didn't. This year, gold glove. Give it to him after his play in the field yesterday. Those diving catches, given the situation, bases loaded too, to preserve the lead and to save those runs. Whew, that dude was slick in the field yesterday afternoon. So shout out to Bryce Terang. Jackson Cheerio, this youngster, batting in the 3rd spot yesterday, getting a home run in his last 29 at-bats. Jackson Cheerio, 414 with a couple of dingers, an on base of a 414, and he's slugging 690. So far, overall this year, 259, 11 home runs, and a 718 OPS. This rookie, this youngster, is a big reason why this Brewers team is now at 60 wins and still in first place. And you know who's starting to come around offensively? A guy that we talked about last week is a guy who really needs to fill in the void that is left by Christian Yelich with his injury. Rhys Hoskins is playing really well at the plate. In his last 7 games, 3 home runs, he's hitting 300 and slugging 750. And then you look at his overall numbers this year. Yep, he's hitting 218. That's below his career average. His on-base percentage so far this year overall is 310. That's below his career average of a 349. His OPS sitting at 742. below his career average at 835. But right now, at a time when the Brewers need him to step up and to kind of really fill in that role or that void left by Christian Yelich, Rhys Hoskins is playing really well at the plate or hitting really well at the plate so far. Hopefully it's something that can continue, but good to see him kind of, I mean, even some of his hits too, if they haven't, he's been hitting the ball hard and deep in some of those outs too. But it was a cool moment on Saturday with the little girls in the stands too. That's what it's all about. If you didn't see that, go ahead and Google it and look it up. But a couple girls, I believe her name was Reese too, with a sign saying, right behind, I think it was the Brewers dugout too. Wanted to see a Reese home run. Reese hits a home run. He met the two girls afterwards. Cool moment. That's what sports is all about. So, a couple texts to catch up on when it comes to the Brewers. John saying that I hope the Brewers acquire a starting pitcher before tomorrow's deadline, but I don't think they're going to. I think they're going to roll with their plan of throwing out a bullpen start every fifth day. You don't need that fifth starter when it comes to the postseason. Eric saying, I hope they would acquire another bench bat to fill in the void for Christian Yelich. Hopefully, it's a power guy and not another table setter type of player. Ideally, would be a corner infielder who can give you some time at third, first, and DH. Tyler also saying, I really hope that the Brewers do acquire another starting pitcher to solidify the starting rotation here. I know they've got other options, but it's better to be in a situation where you have a lot of options and not have a ton of options at all. All right, let's take a quick break and then we'll finish up the second hour. Keep your thoughts coming. Hit us up with the text 715-830-1912. Stick around. We'll be back in just a few minutes. Wrapping up the second hour. Don't forget, it is the weekend hangover as well. So send us your highs and your lows from the weekend, from this previous weekend. Hit us up with a text on that Shoe Doctors bullpen line at 715-830-1912. 715-830-1912. All right. Coming up, we'll get to the weekend hangover picks coming up just past 8 o'clock here this morning. Also, we'll get back to some Jordan Love chats. To those who, if you are a Packers fan, what would you say to those Packers fans who are maybe a little disappointed, upset, don't agree with the contract extension that Jordan Love got? Because there are some out there who believe it's too much for a guy who had a good 8, 9, 10 games from last year. If you're a Packers fan, what would you say to those fans or pundits or talking heads, whoever they may be out there? What would you say to that fan base? All right. Clean and appropriate so I can say it on the air too. All right. So hit me up with the text on that Shoe Doctors bullpen line with your thoughts over there. So we'll get back to some more Packers chats coming up in the next hour or so and get to your thoughts on the Jordan Love contract and some latest updates that are going on at training camp practice right now. We got family night coming up this weekend. Anybody going to family night, by the way? Anybody going to the family night practice? Then we got first preseason games coming up next week too. So before you know it, we're going to be talking about the opener on Friday already. Man, going to be here quick. Ooh. All right. We got Badger football. They're getting ready. They're going to be practicing here too, getting set for their upcoming season. So we're going to be talking some more Badgers too, definitely with RJ coming up tomorrow and such. A few more texts surrounding the Brewers. I don't have a name for this one, so can't get you a name or credit out there. Say definitely hope the Brewers go after another starting pitcher. Wouldn't mind another bat to put in this lineup once in a while too. But I think they only make one more move, and it's going to be a move that not a lot of fans understand or probably don't even know who the player is. All right. Another texter here. This one is from Jeff. Jeff says, I hope the Brewers at least make one more move, whether it's another bat or another starting pitcher. I feel like they only make one more move, and I guess if I had to make a pick, I'm hoping it's another starting pitcher. Rather have more options than not enough. Kind of similar to we had another texter say that, right? I had another texter say that too. So back to the Shoe Doctors bullpen line with some more texts. We've got Matt saying that I hope that the Brewers are aggressive at the trade deadline tomorrow and add another bat, another starter, and heck, why not add another bullpen arm? Let's go and make a push for the postseason. Keep those coming. 715-830-1912. Hey, quick update on our poll, or I should say our bracket challenge, excuse me. So we've got let me bring it over here. Our last Elite Eight spot in the Packers region. The winner of this one will take on Amon Green for a chance to go to the Final Four to win the Packers region. Essentially, whoever wins this matchup. Right now, we got Tremont Williams versus Lynn Dickey. All right. The winner of this one will take on Amon Green. And then that winner, as voted on by you, listeners out there, you will essentially say this is the most underrated Packer of all time. That's how it's going to work out here. But right now, we've got Lynn Dickey leading this thing. It's about 60-40 on both Twitter and Facebook. I'm rounding up here, rounding down in some case, but it's about 60-40. Lynn Dickey is defeating Tremont Williams. So you want to vote? Make sure you get on my Twitter page and our Facebook group page. Coming up next hour, we're going to launch another matchup We're going to go back to the Bucks/Open region for this thing. And we're going to wrap this up at the end of this week, I believe, or maybe it's on Monday when we're going to do the championship game. But right now, I mean, from Friday, Giovanni Gallardo defeated Corey Hart. That one was tight. It was 50-50 on Facebook, but Gallardo won on Twitter. So he moves on. He's going to be taking on the winner between Jim Gantner and Ben Sheets coming up later this week. Scott Tolzien defeated Joe Pavelski. So Tolzien will take on the winner between either Stocco or Altoon. That'll be coming up later on this week as well. And then I'll just tell you the next matchup we got coming up is going to be Brandon Jennings, Mr. Bucks and Six himself, taking on Terry Porter. And we're looking at Terry Porter for his college playing days. All right, Terry Porter for his college playing days over at UW Stevens Point, not his coaching days with the Bucks or anything like that. So it's his playing days in the WIAC back then. So whoever wins that matchup, though, is going to be taking on Steve Stricker to go to the Final Four. So I got to admit, there's been some interesting voting going on between these matchups. I'm a little surprised Scott Tolzien took down Joe Pavelski, but hey, it is what it is. Little surprises Giovanni defeated Hart, and I'm not saying I disagree with that one. I thought maybe Hart would get the fan vote out there, but hey, moving on. And then Chuck Cecil, who was probably the most nominated Packer, falling to Amon Green, but Amon Green again a very popular pick out there too. So, but it'll be interesting to see if it is Lynn Dickey, where it's trending right now. It'll be interesting to see how that vote goes between Amon Green and Lynn Dickey. Excited to see that one. I feel like Stricker is going to advance to the Final Four. I feel like Jim Gantner is going to advance to the Final Four unless Ben Sheets can pull off the upset. If we want to call it an upset, I don't know. I didn't seed him or anything like that. I feel like Jim Gantner is going to go to the Final Four. I have no idea how this Badger one's going to go, to be honest with you. I don't know if it's going to be Tolzien. I feel like it might be Toon. So I'll go Gantner, Toon, Stricker, and then Lynn Dickey. That's my predictions based off of how we've seen this, how we've seen these voting go, or how this voting process has gone thus far. Okay, well, I'll post that next matchup up coming up next hour. So, Lions spending some more money. Just saw this: the Lions signing their left tackle Taylor Decker to a 3-year, $60 million extension. Lions have been spending a ton of money this offseason. This is what happens when you win a bunch of ball games. When you make the postseason, you make a deep run. When you got a good team, you got to reward your players. Jared Goff, St. Brown, Penei Sewell, and now Taylor Decker. So Lions spending a lot of money this offseason here for some good players, though, too. So I can't wait for this NFC North to get going here. I think this is going to be a really fun division to watch. It might be, from a fan standpoint, if you're a Packers fan, it might be a little frustrating at times because, let's be real, we've been spoiled with, at least for my lifetime, division dominance for a long time. Been kind of the cream of the crop for a long time. Not every year, but a lot of years. And I think this NFC North for the next few years is going to be a really, really fun division to watch. I mean, you've got these 4 teams with a little bit different storylines. Everybody's kind of got a little bit of a different storyline or made up a little bit differently. I mean, you look at the Lions, okay? I mean, they were a half away from going to the Super Bowl last year. That second half collapse, I mean, but the Lions, it took a few years. They've invested heavily on their offensive line over the years. Jared Goff, I think, is under a system that really utilizes him well. Dan Campbell has turned things around. And then you look at Green Bay, the ushering in of a new era, really young team, youngest team, one of the youngest teams across the NFL, but now you got the highest paid quarterback. A lot of expectations for this team this year. You got, Minnesota. I don't know what it's going to look like for them this year, but perhaps the best wide receiver in the game. They've got their new quarterback that they hope we may not see him this year with McCarthy, but they're hoping could be their long-term fixture at that quarterback position. Great tight end in Hawkinson when he's healthy. Chicago, there's a lot of enthusiasm, a lot of hope surrounding Chicago. Get Caleb Williams. You get a couple brand new wide receivers to pair up with DJ Moore, who you got last year. So, I mean, I think the next few years, this NFC North division is going to be a lot of fun. It might be a little anxious, little frustrating at times to watch because it's going to be some close games. It's going to be a close division race, I think, for the next few years here. But the depth of this division, I think, is it fair to say the depth of this NFC North division is going to be the best it's been in maybe a long time? I think that's fair. I think it's definitely fair to say that this is the best it's been depth-wise in a long time. I mean, I'm putting it up there. To me, and again, this is just my opinion, but I think when I look at the divisions across the NFL, like a end of July preview look-see, AFC North, I think, is another division that's going to be a lot of fun to watch. Baltimore, Pittsburgh, never count out Pittsburgh. Cincinnati, they could stay healthy, and then Cleveland. I think that's going to be another fun division to watch. AFC South, I think, is going to be an interesting one here too. I think a lot of people, I haven't seen predictions or anything like that, but I mean, probably going to put the Titans at the bottom there. But Will Levis entering his second year now, kind of the main man. We know that. Can the Jaguars make a bounce back year this year with Trevor Lawrence? The Colts with Anthony Richardson, and then of course the Houston Texans. That's probably maybe third on there, and who knows what's going on in the NFC East between the Cowboys and the Eagles, and then you got Washington and the Giants and such over there. NFC West, I think, could be kind of interesting. I mean, I'd still put the 49ers up there, but the Rams, making the postseason last year, could they be kind of a sticky thorn? You got, Seattle, who's been tough for the longest time, but no longer is Pete Carroll over there. How do things change over there? So, I don't know. There's a few division races that are going to be fun to watch this year, but if I had to pick, I'm looking at both the Norths, the NFC North and the AFC North, as two divisions I think are going to be really fun to watch. Really fun to watch. Might be a little anxiety filled if you're a Packers fan because there's going to be some close games, but going to be some good competition. The depth is pretty darn good. All right, coming up next hour, we're going to do some weekend hangovers. What were your highs? What were your lows from the weekend? What was the best? What was the worst? Hit us up with some texts. Give me your thoughts on the Jordan Love signing. Do you like it? Do you hate it? Why do you like it? Why do you hate it? Give me your reasons. Okay. Well, I don't care whatever side you're on. If you hate it, tell me why you hate it. If you like it, tell me why you like it. Or maybe you're just like, hey, no big surprise. It's what we expected. Quick look at the medal counts with the Olympics going on right now. The United States, the overall medal leader with 12 total medals. They've got the most silvers and bronze. They got 6 silvers, tied for the most bronze right now. China has the most gold, sitting there at 5 in the early goings of the Olympics. 2 in. We got 1 more to go. Stick around. We'll be back in just a couple minutes. Third and final hour coming at you on this Monday morning of July 29th. Tourney week is officially upon us. The fourth annual Casper Classic coming at you Friday from Princeton Valley Golf Course. We're going to be over there. And right now, this time next Friday, we'll be there finishing up the final hour of the program. We'll have some golfers already out on the course and such. So, but looking forward to it. It's going to be a fantastic day, and I think the best one yet. The best one yet. So big thanks to all of you who have signed up to play. A big thanks to all of our partners for this year. Princeton Valley for hosting us again this year. Zach, Josh, Allie, the entire crew. Big thanks to them. Big thanks to Park Ridge Distributing, our beverage sponsors, our Champions Meal sponsors, Hy-Vee, Putting Green sponsors, Gemco Surfaces, Title Belt sponsors, Resonance Branding Company. We've got our Green Jacket sponsors, Muldoon's Menswear, other partners, Carpet City Flooring Center, AJM Automotive Service, VFW Post 305, The Elbow Room, Doodah Gin, Edward Jones, Financial Advisor, Kelsey Nikolai, Hannah Sellner Agency, American Family Insurance, Shepke Chiropractic, Shoe Doctor, Service Master Chippewa Valley, Myron Construction. Also, big thanks to those who have donated some raffle prizes like Chippewa River Industries, Spectrum Industries. Also, I know Brandon's mom and Rocky over there are going to be donating a prize too. So big thanks to everybody for that. Looking forward to Friday. It's going to be a lot of fun. And right now, I've got all the prizes sitting here in the studio. Most of them, not all of them, but most of them over there. And there's some good ones, including we got a $500 gift card to Tilden Gun, and only 52 tickets for that's going to be sold. So your chances are pretty darn good for that. That's a heck of a prize over there. So looking forward to Friday. Weather, be good for us. Okay. Be good for us. Let's do the weekend hangover. What was the best? What was the worst? What was the highs? What was the lows from the weekend? I'm going to say I'll start off with the worst. The worst, you don't drop a series to the Marlins. I know what happens, and the Marlins been actually playing a little bit better as of late here, and you got a team that kind of has the mindset of nothing to lose here, and they were aggressive. You got to give them credit. You got to tip your cap to them. But to drop that series against the Marlins, that was a Debbie Downer. It was a little bit of a downer, but at least they got a win yesterday, and Devin Williams got back and such. So the highs are the best from the weekend. I'm gonna say let's go. Well, first, I mean, I was a Ryan Braun fan when I was younger, so that was pretty cool to kind of watch some of the stuff yesterday. But I'm going to say the best was to see Devin Williams back on the mound for the Brewers yesterday. First time this year. The last time we saw him was October 3rd of last year. Spring training, had that back issue, stress fractures in his back. To see him back on the mound, and his fastball was up there too. I mean, the miles per hour, they were up there, a little bit higher than the last couple years. So, Devin saying, don't know if it was like all the, ab work he was doing and such, but I mean, radar gun was up there a little bit there too. So I'm going to say that was the high. That was my pick for high. And also Jordan Love's deal finally getting done. And now we can actually talk about football and about this team going forward. So that's my picks for the weekend hangover, the highs and the lows. If you want to make your picks, you can hit us up with a quick text on that Shoe Doctor's bullpen line. Obviously, the biggest story probably in Wisconsin sports right now was the Jordan Love deal finally agreed to on Friday. 4 years, $220 million. Steve from Eau Claire saying that Love's new contract might be a little pricey, but at least it got done before the Cowboys do anything with Dak, because whatever they do with him is going to be absolutely insane and would have driven Love's contract even higher if we would have waited. Brian Gutekunst saying Saturday morning that it was kind of in the price range of what they thought it was going to take. It kind of seems like that maybe, excuse me, kind of lose my voice here a little bit. Um, it kind of seems like maybe the sticking point was the years thing. So Jordan gets a 4-year extension because remember, the longer the extension is, the better it is for the Packers because it potentially, could look like a bargain after a few years. So um, Jordan gets the 4-year extension out there, is able to kind of renegotiate or get a new contract, if you will, before he even hits the age of 30, which is a big, big thing for Jordan Love, especially if he continues to play at a very, very high level and will be able to cash in with another big time contract over there. So let's reset this now. Jordan Love gets a 4-year, $220 million extension. Highest paid quarterback. Highest paid quarterback. I don't think we should be too surprised at the numbers given how the impacts or given how the market is for quarterbacks right now. Yes, you can make the case, well, he only played had 8, 9, 10 games, and you're making him the highest paid player off that. I understand that. But that's how the NFL world works. That's how pro sports work. You don't have to like it. That's just the way it is. And we have to remember too, when it comes to these contracts, they're out there designed for you're paying these players based off what they're going to do for you in the future. Now, I understand too. You're not going to give a big contract to somebody. Not all the time. Jackson Cheerio being the outlier in this one, but you're not going to give a contract to somebody if you haven't at least seen something from them, right? I mean, if Jordan Love didn't play that well last year, then no, you're probably not giving them a big deal. So yes, you are giving them a big contract based a little bit off of what they have done for you lately. But for the most part, like Andrew Brandt says, these contracts, you're paying them for what you expect them to do for you in the future. My thing now is, and this is a big question that a lot of people are going to have surrounding Jordan Love. By the way, I don't mind the deal. I'm just glad it's done. Glad it's over with. Let's move on with football. Brian Gutekunst said that hey, they've got some cap flexibility for the next couple of years here. Later on in the contract, there's going to be some tough decisions to be made. I think part of that though too is because he's got such a young roster. You've got guys under rookie deals, so yes, you have some flexibility within your roster. But a couple of years, that's going to change when you got to start to pay some of these young guys who have been playing incredibly well. But I think when it comes to Jordan Love now, the question that a lot of people have, the biggest question that a lot of people have surrounding him is he going to live up to that contract? Is he going to continue to play at a high level? Is he going to continue to get better? I mean, I think a lot of us would love to have the conversation in a couple years where we're saying, yep, that's a bargain deal now. I mean, that's what we're hoping, right? And to me, what's going to be what's going to be interesting for Love is how does he handle this pressure? Because last year he was under pressure. This is a different type of pressure this year. This is a different type of pressure this year for Jordan Love. Last year he was under the pressure of I got to prove myself. I got to prove myself that I'm a starting quarterback in this league. I got to prove myself to everybody out there that I am the long-term starter for the Green Bay Packers. That I am the heir apparent to one Aaron Rodgers. I've got one season. While other guys have a couple seasons as a starter to prove themselves, I've got one season essentially as a starter to prove I am the guy. And to replace a legend like an Aaron Rodgers, that's pressure. That's pressure. Now he's under a little bit of a different pressure to say, or to go out there and be like, okay, now I got to prove why Green Bay gave me this deal. I've got this pressure now where I got to go out there and show the world why I'm worth this, why I'm worth this big deal. It's a little bit of a different pressure. And I believe, because in 2008, you had Aaron Rodgers got that extension his first year starting. He got an extension on Halloween. And, Green Bay took a risk, right? They got to see him for a few games. They probably felt a little bit better the year prior when, that Cowboys game, right? That Thursday Cowboys game. Where like, oh, you got a glimpse. But after a few games in that 08 season, they locked him up for a few years. Where I feel like it's a little bit of a different pressure for Love is that Aaron at that time didn't really have, he was highly compensated, but he never had really the title at that point of highest paid. Highest paid. He never had that title. And at that point in the season 2, that was, remember, they didn't make the postseason that year. They ended up finishing 6-10. And you had some good games there, but and that team was coming off of an NFC Championship appearance, so there was expectations heading into that season, no question about it. And it was definitely a disappointing season all around. But that season, while it was going on, it was like, yeah, okay. Whereas Love, he has that pressure now of having that label for however long it's going to be, but having that label of highest paid. That's added extra pressure because we have it in our minds that if you were the highest paid, you must be the best. You got to be one of the best, and you should be. You absolutely should be. Doesn't always work that way, but once you get that label, you should be one of the best in the biz. So he's going to have that added extra pressure. He's also going to have the added extra pressure of like, okay, you led your team in your first year to the postseason. You won a postseason game. You were maybe a couple plays away from going to the NFC Championship game. How do you get back to that? But how do you take that up another step? Your second year, second year as a starter, we've got Super Bowl goals. Super Bowl goals in your second year. So not only do you have the pressure of being labeled as the highest paid quarterback in your second year as a starter, now you're going to have the pressure of like Super Bowl in your second year as a starter. We're expecting Super Bowls now. And I don't know if it'll be this year, but I can see this happening in the next few years. Jordan Love era continues to roll and that. There's going to be this talk and this topic. Again, I don't think it'll be this year. It'll probably be after he wins his first one. Can he do something that Rodgers and Favre, for whatever reasons, couldn't do? I'm not putting the blame solely on those two guys. But can he do something those two couldn't? Win multiple Super Bowls. Not one, but multiple. You got to start with one. But I've got a feeling that eventually that is going to be a topic, a talking point. Can he be a guy that can lead you to multiple Super Bowl championships? Because you ask a lot of Packers fans to look back at the Rodgers and the Favre eras, a lot will say, should have been more. There should have been more championships for whatever reason. And I don't think it's solely on those two guys. But that's going to be, I predict, at some point down the line, if Jordan happens to win a Super Bowl with Green Bay, there's going to be that little maybe added extra pressure. Maybe it's more of a fan thing to be, can he win multiple? Do something that Favre and Rodgers couldn't. I love one of Jordan's quotes that he used last year. Pressure is a privilege. Pressure is a privilege. There is no other quarterback right now in this league that I think has more pressure on him right now than Jordan Love. You can look at some of the rookies like Caleb Williams is under a ton of pressure, to be the guy finally for the Bears. They're a long-term solution at quarterback, but he's also a rookie. He's going to have a little leeway right away. Tua got a big deal there too. But you got to see Tua for the last couple of years, and he thrives within this offense. The biggest thing is, can he just stay healthy? You're talking about a guy, you just made him the highest paid quarterback ever after 1 year and essentially 8, 9, 10 really good games. Jordan Love's under a ton of pressure. And if pressure is a privilege, and he lives by that credo, well, dude, you've got a lot of pressure heading your way this year and for the next couple years, next few years. Embrace it, man. And I'm excited to see that. As a fan, I'm excited to see what Jordan Love can do next. There's this, and I think it depends on how athletes, people embrace it. There's this notion of like, okay, you got your money now. There's that pressure of living up to it. There's also some people have the mindset of like, oh, okay, so now that they got their money, are they actually going to, try to put a lot more effort into it, instead of like using that as a motivation to go out there and play at a high level so you get paid? Do these players, do they lose a little bit after they get paid because maybe that motivation isn't there? I think it depends on the player. I think it depends on the person. And in this case, I hope Love is one of those that uses the pressure like, okay, yeah, I got paid, but now I got to use that as motivation to go out there and show why I got paid. I'm sure some will go out there, and it's happened before, but I'm sure there's some athletes, some people out there be like, okay, I got paid. I can maybe take the foot off the gas a little bit. I got my security. I don't have that motivation to go out there and play for a big deal. I mean, we see that in sports all the time, right? Player enters that contract year, and all of a sudden they just have a career year. And then they get their big deal, and then nothing after that. A Packer that comes to mind right now is Nick Perry. Remember? Had that great, really good career year. Goes into a free agent class that didn't have a ton of edge rushers. Got a nice deal from Green Bay. Flamed out after that. Not trying to pick on Nick Perry, but that's an example. So I know there's some concern from fans like, oh, guy got his deal, Now is he going to be motivated out there? We'll see. But it depends on the player. It depends on the person. What do you use to motivate? And I feel like Jordan's going to have that motivation to like go out there and be like, okay, now I've got this pressure to live up to that contract, to play up to that contract. That's my motivation to prove that I'm worth it. To prove that I'm the dude. To prove that I'm the guy. And maybe there's a little bit more too, because he's the third guy. He's the third guy, the third straight quarterback. Favre, Rodgers. Now you got Love. What can he do that would create his own legacy separate from those two? Favre was the guy that kind of helped resurrect a franchise. Gunslinger, 3-time MVP, 3 years in a row, won a Super Bowl, went to 2 of them. Rodgers follows that up by probably right now being the most accurate passer of all time in the NFL. Complete opposite of what Brett Favre was. Wins 1 more MVP than what Favre did. Wins 4. Wins the same amount of Super Bowl championships. Only went to 1, though. Broke a lot of his franchise records. So how does Jordan Love carve out his own legacy? That's going to be fun to watch as his career plays out. And I can't wait to see when it's all said and done, to see how those 3 kind of like How different are they? Right? Because when we did it with Favre and Rodgers, it was like, man, Rodgers is completely different than Favre. Favre's got the gunslinging mentality. He's throwing that ball all over the place. Then you got Rodgers, who's like, dude throws more than 6 interceptions in a season. You're wondering what the heck is wrong with the guy. So I'm excited to see the legacy that Jordan Love's about to carve out for his Packers tenure. And I feel like, we can't predict the future, obviously. Some people think they can, but we don't know how it's all going to shake out with Love. But I got to tell you, I'm excited for this season. I'm excited for every season, whether it's Brewers, Badgers, Bucks, Packers, and all that. But man, I'm last year I had the expectation of like I don't know what to expect. I went in with no expectations. Okay, I didn't know what to expect from this team. I didn't know what to expect from Jordan Love. I didn't know what to expect from all these rookies, the rookie tight ends. I mean, there was enthusiasm. There was like, oh, okay, I like some of these moves. I like okay. Now when you factor in everything, Love's done. You don't have to worry about that. This new defense coming in, growth in years 2 and 3 for some of these guys. I'm pumped. And it also is probably gonna wear a little bit more on my blood pressure and my anxiety this year. Where last year I was like, okay, yeah, I had a little bit lower expectations, didn't know what to expect. This year I've got higher expectations. So now it's like I'm gonna be living on the edge of my seat throughout all season, just like it was during the Rodgers eras and the Favre eras. But pressure is a privilege. I'd rather be in a situation where I've got these expectations and these high lofty goals than just be like, yeah, I hope we win a couple games this year. Let's take a quick break. We'll talk some more green and golds, some latest updates from training camp. What's standing out? Let me throw this out to you. If you've been kind of following along, maybe you've gone to practice. But if you've been kind of following along, maybe on social media or whatever the case may be, has anything stood out to you from the first week of training camp practice? Hit me up with a text, 715-830-1912. We'll take a quick break, maybe. You were working all. There we go. Quick break. We'll be back in just a few minutes. Brewers will be back at it tonight, taking on the Atlanta Braves to begin a 3-game series in Milwaukee. You can catch that game tonight on the radio dials at 105.1 FM and 790 AM. First pitch around 7:10. Colin Ray is going to be on the mound for the Brew Crew, looking to become first Brewers pitcher with double-digit wins this season. The Brewers, even though dropping that series against the Marlins, still 6 games ahead of the Cardinals for first place in the division. Also 7 games up on Pittsburgh. Then you've got the Cubs, who are 10 games back, along with the Reds, who are also 10 games back. But Brewers now at 60 wins, the third National League team to get to that 60-win mark, joining the Dodgers and the Phillies as the other 2 teams in the National League to have at least 60 wins. We'll see if the Brewers make any moves before the trade deadline, which is tomorrow. Brewers already acquired Nick Mears, relief pitcher from the Colorado Rockies, to help add a little bit more depth to their bullpen. They also got Devin Williams that will really help the bullpen, obviously, too. So we'll see. Maybe the Brewers have a starting pitcher, another starting pitcher they can acquire, or maybe another bench bat to acquire, especially with Christian Yelich going to be missing some time. Packers 1 week into training camp. Obviously, the big story is Jordan Love with that new deal, with that new contract and such. But 1 week into practice, and we've had certain individuals, certain players, stand out and have their day at practice. Last week, he had a Rashawn Gary day where he had, was it 4 sacks in a 5-play series? You had Eric Stokes, who had a really good day. Kalen King, the 7th-round rookie, had a good day yesterday. But I think for me, one of the most interesting storylines to kind of follow in the first week of training camp has been how the offensive line has been shaken out right now. And guys have been getting opportunities all across the line, whether it's been, Zach Tom easing his way back from injuries, Elton Jenkins getting some veteran days, Josh Myers missed a couple days for personal reasons. So there have been guys that have been getting some opportunities with the 1s, with the 2s, and at different points around the offensive line. Jordan Morgan, the first-round pick from this last year, who, after he was drafted, we heard from, LaFleur and such, he's going to get a crack at left tackle. But in OTAs, mini camps, he was getting work at left tackle. But for the most part, in training camp, he's kind of been exclusive to the interior, been exclusive at the guard position. So whether that means, does he have an opportunity to earn a starting spot at that guard position? I mean, it's still kind of early. I know Matt LaFleur said the other day, eventually he'd like to see, that 5 kind of rise to the top, the cream of the crop sort of thing, rises to the top. I think it's fair to say Elton's a starter for sure. Zach Tom's a starter for sure. Josh Myers sure seems to be the starter at center. Walker seems to have the lead at left tackle. So does that mean right guard is up? Is Sean Ryan, is he going to win that job? Could Morgan potentially win that job? So to me, I think the first week, if we had to say what has been the top storyline, what has been kind of the main thing that has popped out to you with the first training camp practice, or first week of training camp practice in the book so far, I think I'd probably have to go with how the offensive line's been kind of shaken out so far. And specifically, I guess, Jordan Morgan, first-round pick. We may see him at guard. And that's the thing, too, is like when you go back to the draft process, with all the analysts and draft pundits and NFL people out there, they all said Jordan Morgan's projected to be a better guard at the NFL level than a left tackle. And right now, that, I guess, I mean, when you look at the opportunities, that seems to be the case here. But again, when you look at these offensive line, you got Elton Jenkins taking snaps at center. You got Sean Ryan the other day taking snaps at center. The versatility of this offensive line, guys playing multiple spots. It's what Green Bay wants. It's what Green Bay looks for in these offensive linemen right now. So, I kind of mentioned a little bit earlier in the first hour, I wouldn't be surprised if Morgan isn't a starter, and I know that's going to piss off some Packers fans out there because he's a first round pick and he's not starting. Same happened to Brian Bulaga. He was a first round pick and he didn't open up the season as a starter. He got in because of an injury to Mark Tauscher at right tackle. Tauscher gets hurt, in steps Brian Bulaga, rest is history. Morgan's eventually going to be a starter, whether it's this year, whether it's next year. And it's going to be somewhere on this offensive line. May not be this year. And I know that's going to upset guys or upset fans because he is a first round pick, and first round picks should be starters. They should be playing. And I get that. I understand that. But I think there's a real case he may not. Maybe Sean Ryan gets that first crack. Feel like if I had to wager a guess, feel like Morgan won't be a starter to open up the year. I could be completely wrong. Apparently had a good day yesterday in the first one-on-ones. It's going to be interesting to see how he performs in preseason. I think if it were my guess, 1 week into training camp, I think it's Walker, I think it's Elton, I think it's Myers, Zach Tom's your right tackle, and it's between Sean Ryan and Morgan over at right guard. That's just how I see it play. All right, let's take our final break. We got some picks and predicts coming up here. Brewers with that series against the Braves. We'll make those picks coming at you. We'll also do some predicts surrounding the trade deadline coming up here tomorrow. Will the Brewers make another move before the deadline? Will they stand pat with their pitching now and kind of use maybe that fifth spot in the rotation as an all hands on deck and kind of a bullpen day when you've got guys in the bullpen that can give you multiple innings? Will they go that route? Will they add another bats? We'll make some predictions over there too. So we'll take our final break on this Monday morning and wrap things up with some game picks and some predicts in just a few minutes. All right, quick look at how our polls are doing right now for our most underrated Wisconsin sports athlete of all time. Lynn Dickey still out to about a 60-40 lead over Tramon Williams right now. A little bit closer on Twitter, but about 60-40 for rounding up. I'm a little surprised at this one. Maybe a little disappointed too. But Brandon Jennings is defeating Terry Porter right now, and it's early, but that's about a 60-40 ish one there too. I mean, my opinion, I'd go Terry Porter. I mean, Division III college basketball player drafted in the first round. Come on, UW Stevens Point drafted in the first round. Had a heck of an NBA career. My vote would go Terry Porter, but my vote doesn't count. So, but you can vote now on the Facebook group page, or on Twitter. That's where the voting is done right now. So, all right, let's do some picks and predicts. Speaking of making some picks and votes and all that, let's do some picks and predicts. Brought to you by the Elbow Room in Eau Claire, located right next to the Banbury Place. Hey, with the heat out there right now, if you're looking for somewhere to cool down and maybe have a cool beverage and watch some of the games on the tube, some of the events on the tube, head on over to the Elbow Room, located right next to the Banbury Place. Elbow Room, also a partner of the Mobile Man Cave, and over there at the Classic, Kasper Classic too. So let's do Toronto at Baltimore. Has got a couple game doubleheader today. I'll go. Dalton Varshall's been playing well as of late too. I'm gonna go Baltimore for both. I think they pick up both wins. Got a heck of a series right here. I feel like this one. You got the Yankees visiting the Phillies in a really good series. Zach Wheeler's on the mound for Philly tonight. Gill for the Yankees. Give me the Phillies for tonight's matchup. Cubs at the Reds. Give me the Cubbies. Twins taking on the Mets of New York. Give me the Mets. Quintana's on the mound, but Mets are playing with a lot of confidence right now. So give me the Mets. Seattle at Boston can be a sneaky good series too, but give me Boston in this one. Let's go the next series here. Pittsburgh at Houston. Paul Skeens on the mound. Just give me Pittsburgh, and then Atlanta at Milwaukee. Grant Holmes going for Atlanta. Kind of your opener. Brewers, Colin Ray. Give me the Crew to jump out and put up some runs early and pick up a W in this game. Not fully confident in that, but give me the Crew to win tonight's game. So, predicts. How about let's throw one in here? Do the Brewers make a trade today? The Brewers make a trade today. I'm going to say no. I'm going to say no, they don't make a trade today. I hope they make a trade by tomorrow's deadline, but I don't think they make a trade today. So, all right, those are your picks and predicts. Again, brought to you by the Elbow Room, located right next to the Banbury Place in Eau Claire. Quick look at anybody really watching. Did they spend a lot of the weekend maybe kind of hunkering down, trying to stay cool in your homes and such, watching a little bit of the Olympics? We have a quick update on the medal count. USA leading in overall medals. They have 12. China and France each have 9. The U.S. leading in silvers with 6, tied with Italy for the most bronze at 3. China has the most gold, sitting right now at 5. They're sitting at 5. So, but overall, the United States, just a few days into this, have 12 overall medals. United States basketball defeating Serbia 110-84. Kevin Durant had himself a game in this one, finishing 8 of 9 from the field, 23 points. 23 points for KD. Also coming off the bench in that one too. So and that was just in 17 minutes of action. LeBron, 21 points, 9 assists, 7 rebounds. Jason Tatum didn't play at all in this game, and Steve Kerr saying I felt like an idiot not playing Tatum versus Serbia. So expect Tatum to play in the next game there. Anthony Edwards also came off the bench, 19 minutes. He had 11 points in the game. But yeah, your starters for that game, you had LeBron, Joel Embiid, Devin Booker, Drew Holiday, and Steph Curry were your starters for that matchup. So their next game is their next game coming. I'll have to double check what their schedule is coming up here a little bit later on. So, but yeah, I was kind of going back and forth with some of the Olympic action, watching a little bit of the hoops and Simone Biles out there and such. I know tennis kind of going on right now too. So yeah, been kind of diving in and out with it. So I think we'll start to really pay. I shouldn't say we. Once we get to like for basketball gold medal and Kenny and all that, probably really really paying attention or following along a little bit more there too. So, but yeah, kind of dabbing in and out for sure, no doubt about it. What else do we got here for this morning? Yeah, did see that. We're just going through some text here. This is from Jim. Jim saying, "I hope the Brewers do make a trade, at least a couple trades by tomorrow's deadline. Would love to have another starter and another bat bench." So, I mean, it feels like it feels like that the majority of Brewers fans out there have the same wish list. You want another starter, and you want another maybe bat coming off the bench. Now I'm assuming, would it be like a corner infielder / DH, like a guy who could play third, maybe give you a little bit at first, but also DH a little bit? That's my assumption that everybody would like to get there. Chris is also saying, I hope they do acquire another starting pitcher before the deadline and go on an absolute tear and ride a lot of momentum heading into the postseason. This is from Mitch. Mitch is asking, do you think the Brewers will ever retire Ryan Braun's number? Brandon and I kind of talked a little bit about that on Friday. In fact, that's on a podcast, our Man Cave podcast, brought to you by Toyson Ford and Hy-Vee. I think eventually it's going to get there. Watching and listening to the ceremony yesterday and listening to, like BA and some of those other guys on there, they kind of feel like it's going to happen. And I think as long as Mark Anasio is going to be the owner for a while, and with his close relationship with Bronny, I think eventually number 8 is going to be up there in the rafters. I think it will. So, also, we've got off day today for the Express, but man, have the Express, they had a fantastic weekend. That's another weekend hangover. That's another positive one. I forgot to mention that one a little bit earlier, but the Eau Claire Express, easily one of the best of the weekend. 4-game winning streak. They have now positioned themselves into second place in the division, just 1.5 games out. 1.5 games out. They've got the Lacrosse Loggers coming up for the next 3 games, but then they're back home at Carson Park taking on Duluth, who they're chasing right now. Duluth is up 1.5 in the division. So the Express putting themselves in a position where they can kind of control their destiny. So we got a couple weeks left of the regular season, but a fantastic weekend. This is a team that loves to hit grand slams. I mean, they've kind of overtaken, Brewers for a while there. They were the grand salami team. Now it's the Eau Claire Express. If I'm an opposing pitcher going up against the Express and I've got bases loaded, I'm a little nervous because right now it almost feels like you're feeling pretty confident that they're going to get a grand slam off of you. But shout out to the Eau Claire Express. What a fantastic weekend out there for the Express. So nice work. Big time win. And they had a walk-off with a wild pitch yesterday. If you didn't see the video, close play at the plate, but Dylan O'Connell, what a slide at home to get the walk-off victory last night. So, all right, we got just a few minutes left at the top of the hour here. Excuse me. Coming up tomorrow, we'll do a little grind my gears. What's grinding your gears? Think about that. What's been grinding your gears for the last few days, sports-wise or whatnot? Let us know, and we'll hit that up for a little grind my gears. ASAP Used Auto Parts grind my gears Tuesday. We'll talk about hopefully the Brewers get off to a good start with the series against the Braves with a win tonight. We'll talk more Packers training camp stuff as we inch a little bit closer and closer to some preseason action starting next week. Got family night coming up this weekend. So anybody heading over to that on Saturday? Anybody going to go over and check out family night? But we'll hit all that up tomorrow and catch up with some Badgers with Mr. R.J. Cardinal. Speaking of, Packers and training camp and all that stuff, we got college football to be getting ready for too. Badger football doing the same thing. Badgers will be in Platteville from today until August 12th, getting set for their upcoming season. So college football right around the corner here too. But put it on your calendars August 10th if you wanted to. The Badgers will hold one open practice to the public Saturday, August 10th. It does cost $5 per person. Anybody 12 and under gets in for free. But yeah, starts today, 29th. So college football right around the corner too. So we'll catch up with RJ tomorrow and do our Badger chat. Also, tomorrow is our Eau Claire Express update too. So a lot of good stuff to be catching up with our good friends from the Eau Claire Express with how well they're playing and positioning themselves for hopefully a second half first place championship, and then clinching that postseason spot. So just to wrap it up here, got a couple messages on the Facebook page here. We've got what do we got? A couple messages here on Facebook because I got to check those here. Come on, load up. All right, we got. Yeah, I would agree with that. That was something else. Jordan Love, no problem with his contract. Anybody who thinks that he got overpaid with only just 10 games in doesn't understand how the NFL works right now. Just glad that it's over with and we can focus on football. That's according to Tim. Elsewhere, we've got one more comment here. We've got Ashley also, or not Ashley, excuse me. I was reading something else. Adam, I had Ashley right next to it. Adam saying that no problem with the Jordan Love contract. Anybody who does have a problem with it, just stop. It's not your money anyways. Let's just focus on football and hopefully another championship or 5 coming to the pack. Whew. All right. DP and the Danettes are up next. Have yourself a fantastic Monday. We'll be back at it again tomorrow morning, 6 a.m.